sidelines empty. Rings for the Rams. A Lombardi trophy for Los Angeles. 23-20 is the final on their home field here at SoFi Stadium in Super Bowl 56. The Los Angeles Rams are world champions.
Here's the finish. 2-1 Edmonton. Sagan pumps it down low. Bouchard snakes it around. Pushing it from Mukhamadullin. Jason Robertson. 30 seconds. Haskin has it won. This game, this series is over. Edmonton's heading to the Stanley Cup final.
You're listening to The Manning Show with Ewan Manning. 30 minutes of straight sports talk starts now.
Welcome back to The Manning Show. I'm Ewan Manning, part of the Ewan Sports Network, and today we are excited to bring you this one, the Thursday Report. We get to bring on a guest for the first time, Reed Wilkins. We're going to get into the Edmonton Oilers, the new coaching hire of Mike Babcock, the Oilers' moves, and then the Edmonton Elks and the way they've been playing recently as well. Later in this episode, after the Reed Wilkins interview, I'm going to get into my ideas on that, the Edmonton Elks, and as well some of the NBA trades that have been going on. There's a big one in the Jalen Brown trade as well. So let's get right into that. Here is the Reed Wilkins interview. He was absolutely phenomenal. I really appreciate him coming on. Here it is. Welcome back to the Manning Show. I'm Ewan Manning, and today we are pleased for Reed Wilkins to be joining us today. Reed Wilkins has a show on Edmonton Sports Talk, and he's been a hugely respected member of the Edmonton media for the past little while now. Reed, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thanks a lot for having me. That's quite a flattering intro. I'm sure you'll get some pushback on some of the adjectives that you used. You got a great last name for sports because people are going to be like, wait, the Manning Show? Which one is he?
Yeah.
What team is he quarterback for? You know, so you got to take advantage of the breaks that you get. It's a pleasure to be on your show. I certainly have a lot of respect for you because I've probably known about you for a couple of years because you get posting stuff and you're clearly very interested in broadcasting. So it's good that you're off and running and doing some of your own stuff. And this might be a record for the youngest person I've gone on their podcast.
Nice.
You know, if you're in your late teens, our age gap would be, probably 34, 35 years. So that's probably the largest. I don't think I've been interviewed by anybody still in junior high. So, yeah, this is a new record for.
That's good. I'm 17. So
in my life at this point. Yeah.
Well, you were at the Mike Babcock. We're just going to get right into it. The Mike Babcock press conference, and I just want your initial thoughts on it because I know it was a few weeks ago, but there was a lot of big questions asked by all of you in the media and did not cut to the chase, like just got right to it. Just your initial thoughts on the Babcock press conference, and he kind of dodged quite a few of the questions, and I just want your thoughts.
Yeah, well, first of all, I thought we saw why he's someone who has spent most of his adult life in a leadership position of being a head coach. I mean, I thought he did his best to take command of the news conference and try to control it as best he could. I mean, he sure was complimentary towards a lot of our questions.
Yeah.
Well, like great question. That's well, what a good question.
Yeah.
Well, I think I was asked that, but hey, I can answer it again. He's such an interesting figure, and maybe not all interesting in a good way. Like I do think he's extremely arrogant. I do think he's probably a bit of a control freak. I do think he likes it or has a desire for it to be about him, you know.
Yeah.
And let's face it, he's put himself in a pretty good situation here.
Yep.
You know, if the Oilers win the Stanley Cup or have a really, really good team, Hey, what changed? Mike Babcock. Mike Babcock came in and did Mike Babcock things. I think in terms of, the way he answered some of the questions about Columbus, I thought maybe he'd be a little more forthcoming or a little more maybe contrite about it.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect a lot more. But he really didn't want to go there at all. I mean, the one answer that was kind of curious was when he was like, "Well, why did you leave Columbus?" And he's like, "Well, my wife called me and said you got to get out of there."
Yeah.
He expanded on that a little bit later. Now, I also understand from his point of view, like why go into it? Like why relive it, or why open a can of worms that then might just lead to more questions and more criticism, or
For sure.
or more distractions about it. But this, I'm sure he can still coach hockey. I'm sure he still understands the game very well. I believe he clearly crossed the line with some players and in some situations. Like there's a difference between motivating guys and being hard on guys, and as opposed to doing that to the extent that they feel uncomfortable coming to work, or that they don't even want to play hockey anymore. But I don't know if he really thinks he needs to do much different,
Yeah.
I'm sure whatever happened with the cell phone stuff in Columbus, I'm sure he learned something from that. Maybe he won't try that tactic again. But, I mean, he's coming in. He's the man. I mean, I can't remember who it was, because we've interviewed a few people about him over the last month. And, somebody said, like, it's his team. Like, he's above everybody else, which is going to be interesting with this club that's had Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid on it for over a decade. And they've always been sort of the public face of the team, and sort of it's all about them, and it's all about how they play. So it's going to be interesting. I can tell you that. I mean, I've been asked a lot, is this the most important offseason in Oilers history? I think they're all important, but this is the most fascinating one because of all the storylines that are weaving through the coaching search and the coaching hire.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how the team uses him and how he changes the dynamic of the team and how they play hockey, especially. The structure is the thing I'm most curious in, and how they kind of change and see if he rolls four lines more often. But it was a big day yesterday or a day ago for the Edmonton Oilers, making some big moves in free agency. Just your initial thoughts on free agency, and also the fact that the Oilers were able to trade Darnell Nurse and not be able to retain money.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest win of the day, I would suppose, and that they still have, even once the RFAs are signed, they'll probably have about $4 million, $3.5 million left over, something like that. Stan Bowman said on my show yesterday he might sign another forward this summer.
Yeah,
I mean, that would probably be a $1 million player, in that range, and then you actually go into the season with a little bit of flexibility. I mean, not $10 million, but even having 3 or 4 is more than he's had in the past. I don't. It's interesting. I've seen a lot of positive fan reaction to Bowman, which I think is good, because he's been kind of crapped on a lot, in some cases rightfully so. I thought it was a good day. I don't think it was an awesome day. Here's why. So Devin Levi, I think, is a question mark.
For sure.
I think Ryan Shea is somewhat of a question mark. And I still think Frederik Andersen is somewhat of a question mark, and that creates a big question mark for the goaltending. I think the defense core without Darnell Nurse, how is it going to gel? Is Mukhamadullin actually going to become a full-time NHL player, or at least just someone on the Oilers who can be a full-time player? I would say likely of the moves that he made, probably one of them is going to turn out to be a home run or a solid double into the gap.
For sure.
But I don't think all of them will be, because usually not all of them will be. So then if I say, well, if only one of these moves is really great and the other 2 or 3 are okay, are the Oilers really that much better? At least initially to start the season. Again, if there's cap flexibility, maybe you can make a trade during the season. So that's why I don't think the team really got much better. But, I interviewed Bowman yesterday, and he pointed back, hey, we got new coaches. Like, Ewan, he must have really hated Chris Knobloch.
Oh, for sure.
Or been very frustrated by him as the season went on. So they're putting a lot of eggs in the Babcock basket. The goaltending to me is interesting because he said we're going to carry 3. I guess we'll see how that goes. And then he said, teams don't have a 60 to 70 game guy. Like he kind of was saying they don't really have a number 1. I don't know about that. I mean, most teams still have a number 1. They just don't play as much. And maybe you're more likely to play the backup 5 times in 7 games if he's going well. My concern is, what if the Oilers don't have that guy? I mean, Levi, we don't know.
Yeah.
Jari, we certainly don't know. And Andersen, I think, is a good goalie. He's had a heck of a career, but he's older. He's got a bad knee. And even if he's playing really well, he's not the type of guy that can be like, oh, man, you're hot. Like, you're playing 7 games in a row. Like, I don't think he can handle that type of workload. So I still think there's a pretty big question mark in net. I don't think the team got worse, but I struggle to see how what he did yesterday elevates them in Stanley Cup contender status.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm really curious to see, Bob said that they're likely going to roll with 3 goaltenders and how they're going to manage that because, there's still a chance that Levi could go down. If Jari's playing absolutely horrible, there's a chance he could go down. So I'm curious how they manage that, especially with the money they have. You kind of mentioned it already, but you think that they just sign a cheaper forward and go into the season with some cap flexibility then?
Yeah, I mean, they probably look, I would guess they look for another Matthew Joseph type player.
Because there was some talk about top 6 winger as well, but obviously that's going to be tough to do.
Yeah, I don't know if that's, I mean, maybe that's the in-season move or the trade deadline move if they're having a decent year. Like, I wonder, I guess a Lazar type player, maybe somebody like that. I think Curtis would have loved to come back, but I don't think it's going that way. But maybe you want a right shot, someone who can help with faceoffs. I'm not sure who that's going to be, but that's probably who they go after. I mean, I think they feel pretty good on defense. Clearly, they have enough goaltenders now. And then, I think maybe if they need a bigger name scorer. And Bowman did say, too, he's like, we don't have a lot of natural goal scorers on the team. So that's probably something you need to fill in. But, I mean, you need if they're going to be – if they're having a good year and some finish around the net or a sniper is what they're missing, then you're going to have to get somebody who's good in the playoffs, right? I mean,
for sure.
Roslovic can finish plays. He's never been great in the playoffs, right?
No,
so, you'd almost have to go out and get somebody in the Taylor Hall ilk,
right?
For a playoff run later on,
right? Yeah, the playoffs are a big thing, and hopefully this team is right back there. Let's transition to the Elks here because, to be honest, it's been a fabulous start for them. Hasn't been perfect football, but they've been very, very good to start this year. 3-0. It's been a long time, and it's been fun to watch. What would you say is the biggest reason so far for this 3-0 start for the Elks?
Well, I guess I'd have to say defense. I mean, they don't give up a ton of points in a season in which, at least to this point, it's I think it's record breaking. I think if it kept going this way, I mean, and then last night you got. I don't think they reached 100 total points, but they were flirting with it between Calgary and Toronto.
Yeah.
But the defense has been really good. Like, you look at it, and there's not a big weakness on the defense. Like, I'm looking at the depth chart. Like, the D line is solid. They can rotate through probably at least 6 guys. The linebackers have been very good. Now, questions this week because they've gone from Andersen to Mogensen both being hurt.
Yeah.
And now they got to put in another guy there. And the defensive backfield is really, really good. I think it might be the best in the league. I mean, you saw how Kolaros at times just looked like he had nowhere to put the ball.
Yeah.
There was some pressure on him, and then he's thrown off his back foot, and there's no one open. I mean, only on 2 occasions this year has a team scored 21 or fewer points, and they were both against the Elks. Ottawa in week 1, and then Winnipeg last week got to 18. Ottawa in the first week got to exactly 21. So the defense has been good. And then the offense, is up and down. I still think I'd like to see a little different play calling, like trying to hit receivers in motion a little more, maybe trying to get Rankin involved a little more, though, I mean, I know he still gets a lot of touches. And it's good special teams, right? I mean, Blanchard, who appears to be maturing into a really good kicker. Julian's an outstanding punter. And I know Leak hasn't broken one in the return game, but he's a very good returner.
Yep.
So you don't look at any part of the roster and say, "Oh, that's poor." I don't even think there's a part of the roster that's below average. I think everybody is average or better as a position group. So it's nice to bank some wins. BC is going to be tough. They still have Rourke.
Yeah.
Not having one of your star middle linebackers is going to be tough. I mean, of course, rain's going to fall at some point this season on them. I mean, that's figurative rain. They've had enough literal rain in the first two games already.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice turnaround. It's nice to see that. I think some of the things that Morris and Hervey and Killam were promising are now becoming reality.
Yeah, it's a big testament to Hervey, especially the way the roster looks right now. It looks really solid, and the only thing that could really hurt them is injuries. So it's been going good so far. But BC coming up, that's a really tough matchup. And the Elks, for whatever reason, in the last little while, seem to struggle against the BC Lions. And the BC Lions haven't won a game yet. So it's going to be a big game for BC, and they're going to come out ready to play. Yeah,
well, and you worry about that too, right? A little bit of the law of averages. I mean, BC's not going to go 0-18. Elks won't go 18-0. I'm sure BC, it's a very tense environment,
For sure.
Waking up every morning and seeing that 0 in the win column. But, I mean, a big reason the Elks, what is it? I don't have it in front of me. Is it 11 of the last 12 BC has won? It's something like that.
Yeah,
and Rourke himself is 6-0 against Edmonton. And there was like a 59-15 in there with Rourke. I think Rourke was gone the year they shut them out twice. I'm not sure he was there that year. I mean, there have been some ugly games against the Lions.
Yeah.
The thing with Rourke is, I mean, we know he can snap the ball. He's got a great delivery. He can find any part of the field. He's also, I don't know if he's the best running quarterback in the CFL. Well, who's better? Adams is pretty good.
Yeah, Adams is good.
Wouldn't be Cody. Wouldn't be Kalaro.
Davis isn't bad.
Yeah, right. So he's still like a top 3 scrambler at the very least. And we saw last year there's that one, I think they flushed him out to the right, and then he just took off and got a really long run. So that's the one thing, right? He's got that extra dimension that he can really gouge you with yards. It's an interesting matchup because, again, this is the Elks' best secondary they've had in a long time. He's picked Edmonton apart in recent years. Now this is going to be different, right? What's Sherritt going to throw at him?
Right.
What's Sherritt going to give him for looks? I mean, I think JC called a pretty good game against Winnipeg. I mean, Kolaros is one of the smartest guys out there, and at times he didn't look like he was totally sure. So it's an intriguing matchup. I expect a really tough game, though. And it did. Yeah. It sounds like Killam was a little agitated at some of the practices this week, so maybe the Elks he'd like to see a little more fire from a 3-0 team. So, but it'll be a fun game. That's a nice stadium there in Kelowna. I thought it looked pretty good on TV. It looked like they filled it for that game last week.
Yeah, it'd be nice to go check that out as well. It's a nice stadium to play in. What's one thing that you think the Elks can improve on? I know Justin Rankin, I mean, this guy has been absolutely phenomenal so far to start the year and just doesn't seem like he's going to slow down. But just one part of the Elks that you think can really take an improvement. You kind of mentioned the offensive play calling and maybe being a little more aggressive, but just kind of one other idea on that.
Yeah, that's still where I would go because I thought, Now, you got to give Winnipeg credit, but what did they have, 5 or 6 2-and-outs, I think, to start the second half against the Bombers. I thought against Montreal, it took them a little too long to get Rankin involved. I get frustrated the CFL because, look, there's always room out there. It's a big field. And I realize it's a safe play, but I get a little frustrated when every passing play is a 4-yard comeback or a curl. The receiver goes, stops. And sometimes I feel like all 5 or 6 guys were doing that. Where's a crossing pattern? Where's somebody, I think they've only called it once. I think it was to Luther against Montreal. That jet sweep where Cody
Yes.
just gets it
Yeah.
and flips it, so it's a passing play, but
Yeah,
it's
pop
basically a
pass,
run.
yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that. Just have the defense moving side to side, and then maybe that creates holes on future plays. What do you? How do you? Like, this is what I find so fascinating about football, right? Like, how do you approach the offense? Do you focus on calling plays where, like, well, I'm going to do A and I'm going to do B, and then that's going to trick them, and then when I do C, they won't call it? Or do you just say, I got to get the ball to my playmakers and let them go, right? We're going to get to Rankin on a screen pass and let him go. We're going to get it to Luther while he's running a shallow cross, but then we trust that he's going to get some yak. So I still think that's a work in progress for the Elks.
Yeah, for sure, and they have some younger receivers as well who've just gotten spots and have had some ups and downs to start the season. But Luther had a big game the other week. So thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate you hopping on, and hopefully the Elks can find a way to get to 4-0.
Well, yeah, anytime. I appreciate you asking me. Very encouraged that someone in your demographic is that knowledgeable on the CFL.
Yeah.
The league is definitely working on that. But
I'm a big Elks fan.
I wish you all the best. I'm glad you're going to Nate. I hope that goes well for you, and drop by and come get a tour of EST someday.
Awesome. I will. Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, that was great. I really appreciate him coming on, Reed Wilkins, one of the most respected members in the media, and you can tell he knows a lot about sports, and it was really great to have him on. He's been definitely a big inspiration of mine, so it's cool to have him on. Let's get into it, because this has been quite a week for the Edmonton Oilers, to be honest with you. Like, I've really, really enjoyed the way that they made some moves. Reed was kind of, he wasn't 100% in on it, but I like it. Personally, I thought they moved in a better direction than they have in past off seasons. But to be fair, we don't really know what it's going to look like. We don't know, because you're not just sure right off the rip if, hey, like, this is going to work out or not. So, like Reed said, there's definitely some home runs. There could be a home run in there. There also could be some strikeouts. And Stan Bowman is known for missing those fastballs right down the middle. So, again, this is a good Oilers team. I really do believe that. I think this will be a better Oilers team coming into the year than last year. I really do believe that. And with the moves that they made, they were able to move off Nurse. Let's start with that. Darnell Nurse getting moved to the San Jose Sharks, so we started the day. Stan had done nothing. I was really not surprised. I was kind of happy that the Oilers did nothing. And, today was a big day. Yesterday was a big day. Able to get rid of Darnell Nurse and all of his money. This started after, it was just a big, huge moment for the Edmonton Oilers. The fact that they were able to move all that money. It was seeming like, hey, Philly is going to trade you a bad contract and you're going to have to retain money. But somehow, some way, the Edmonton Oilers move off a Nurse, get Shakir Mukhamadullin, get a prospect, and just move off that money. It was absolutely unbelievable. They got a decent return for him. Mukhamadullin, not an established NHLer yet. He's a big guy. He's got a tall frame. He definitely could put on some weight apparently. Doesn't move the puck well, but again, we could definitely see improvement from him, right? And he's still young. He's still 24 years old, so they're still getting a return for him. The Edmonton Oilers were adamant that the prospect be added on as well. I believe his name is Zach Sharp or something like that, but excuse me. I like it. It was really nice. I didn't expect it. There was rumors later into the afternoon about the Oilers, Nurse expanding his trade list, and he waived it for him to go. So it was good to see. Good to see. In saying that, they also had a deal with Boston. The word on the street is it was Nurse for a player with no retention, and the player that was traded had protection and decided not to take it. So some people were thinking it's Nikita Zadorov, which honestly would be pretty awesome to have him in an Oilers uniform, but he's pretty hated in oil countries. So Some people definitely probably didn't mind it. With that, they went and signed Ryan Shea. He had a solid year for the Penguins. There's still some questions on him and how he's going to fit in with this group and how this group's going to look without Darnell Nurse, because to be honest, it's been a long time since we haven't had Darnell Nurse. So we'll see how the Edmonton Oilers play without him. See what they lose and what they were missing. But it's really interesting. Like I like the moves that they made. And it should be pretty solid. Should be a pretty solid blue line. He was plus 30, 35 points last year for the Penguins. Definitely peaked. He had his best year last year. So getting paid, but we'll see if it works out. People really like it, but we'll see. Because, there's still some question marks on that, and I guess we'll see. But the first thing the Oilers did in the day was they traded for Devin Levi. They traded a third-round pick for Devin Levi. He's been a prospect for the Buffalo Sabres for a while, been in the AHL, has registered over a 900 save percentage in every single year, or the last 3 years in the AHL. He's had some time with the big club, not a lot, not a great save percentage, but again, this is a guy ready to take a step. I mean, he's only 6 foot, he's not a big goalie, he was a 7th-round draft pick, he's been undersized, he moves well in the nets, but he's been a big prospect, and he's played well in the last little while for the Buffalo Sabres, and the Edmonton Oilers are trading a 3rd-round pick for him. So, again, this is a risk that you're willing to take as a 3rd-round pick. I mean, the Oilers aren't drafting that 3rd-round pick to be an NHLer. I'll tell you that right now. It's not a bad trade. I really like the trade for the Edmonton Oilers. It's no risk, little risk. They're going to be able to have some cap flexibility with him as well and see how he plays. But I thought it was really, really important that we got another goalie. And the Edmonton Oilers went out and signed Frederik Andersen on top of that. Freddie Andersen. I mean, he's a dog out there. He's always been a really good goalie. And that's, to be honest, he's had an excellent career. He's old. He's aging now. He really struggles with injuries. That's the big thing. So it was important that there's 3 goalies that you can go to. Now, who knows if you're going to Jari? Because we don't really know. But those are 3 goalies that can play some hockey, right? So, I mean, this is not a bad club at all. The goaltending situation has question marks, as it always does, as it always will at Edmonton. But am I happy with the way it looks? And if one of them works out, or 1.5 of them work out, like let's say, excuse me, Levi is serviceable, or Freddie's playing unreal. He gets hurt. You can go to Levi, Jari can be there, or, the other way around. That's good. That's what I want to see. The thing I don't want to see is Freddie Andersen get hurt, Jari not playing well at all, and Levi looking like he needs more time in the AHL. Because that's the way it could look, to be honest with you. So, there's a likelihood the Oilers are going to roll with 3 goalies, and if one's not playing well, they could get sent down. I guess we'll see. It really makes the goalie situation interesting, and I like it. There's a lot of options. There's guys you can go to, Frederik Andersen had an excellent playoffs, so it'll be curious to see. On that note, they went and signed Matthew Joseph as well. Just a bottom 6 forward, solid, a little 1 million, or 1 year, $1 million deal. They also re-signed, there was talk at the press conference, and Stan Bowman basically went out and signed Kasperi Kapanen right back as well. I really like it. Kapanen's always been a guy I've liked. He skates very well. I know he's not very big, but he skates very well. He can grind. You can put him with Dry. He plays well with Leon Draisaitl. He's scored a lot of big goals for this team as well last year in the playoffs, and this year in the playoffs as well. He was very good. But this is the guy, since they picked up from St. Louis Maple Leafs on waivers, that's played very well in this city. He's really liked his time here, and it was really good to see him back. $2.6 million is he deserves that money, probably even a little more, to be honest. And I like where he's at, so that's pretty solid. It was good to see him stick around and stay around that whole day. I'm just trying to think, did I get everything? Max Jones also re-signed a deal for the Oilers as well, which, it's always good to have that depth with him. So it's not bad to see it all. But, the Oilers still have some cap space. They really do. So I'm going to be curious to see, they have a lot of depth. They have a lot of depth in the back end. You have Spencer Stastny and Colton Dach still with some qualifying offers to look at. But, those aren't bad at all, right? Like, the depth that they have, you have Stastny, Mukhamadullin, Amberson's there. So you have a lot of depth on the back end, and I wouldn't be surprised if they move off one of those guys, to be honest, at some point, because it's just a lot of defensemen to have in that room. Forward group's got a lot of depth, too. They have a lot of young guys. You still have Szymanski. You still have Colton Dach in the mix. You have Frederik, Jones, Howard. So a lot of guys that can take some steps, and it's solid to see. On top of that, it was I thought just in general, it was a decent day for Stan Bowman, and he's got to be happy about with the way things went. So, yeah. Get into the Edmonton Elks. They got a game coming up tomorrow, actually, so I'm really hoping that I can get this out against the BC Lions at 5 p.m. But a big day for the Edmonton Elks, and very hopefully that they can go out and do their thing. 3-0 right now, but the BC Lions are 0-3. They're 0-3, and that's, they haven't won a game. This is the BC Lions with Nathan Rourke, who's MOP, right? Their offense has been an issue, but they are going to be ready to play. Apparently, according to Reid, the practices haven't been too great this week, and Mark Killam's not been happy about that. So, be curious to see if they're coming out ready to play. I'm really curious to see myself. Are the Edmonton Elks ready to go today? Their defense has been absolutely unreal. Can Justin Rankin, what does J.C. Sherritt have for Nathan Rourke? And what's been keeping him so off balance? Like, what has been keeping him so off balance? I'm not really sure. But hey, that's solid, right? In saying that, goodness, sorry. It's been a lot of talking here in this last little bit. Brock Morgensen came in and played very well for Nick Anderson, but he also gets put on the 6-game IL. So both of them get hurt. So they have to go to their third. He was their third overall pick in the Canadian draft. Dijabom. I can't say his last name properly, but he's coming in. Mathis is out as well. He's struggled with injuries in the last little while. So it's Luther, Rankin, Fajardo, Griffith, O'Leary, Orange, Julian Grant, O'Donnell, Bordner, Carter, Murray, Cephas, Mack, Fajardo. And then on the defense, Taylor, Brinkman, Williams, Smith, Dijabom, DeBlanco, Logan Jr., Ford, Ross, Jackson, Garnes, and Williams. So I really like this defensive roster. It's been really, really good, and it's solid. It's solid for them. In saying that, this is a big game for them. If their offense is able to move the ball for the full game, which they haven't really been able to do, we talked to Reid about the play calling and being a little more, being able to spread the ball down the field a bit. He was on about, and he and him saw a lot of the same things about the Edmonton Elks. Like, this is a team that can very much do it, right? Can very much do it. They got some young receivers, but I'm curious to see how this defense rises to the occasion against Nathan Rourke, because last year they struggled against him when they played him, to be honest, and he found ways to pick through them, but this is a different defense now. So it's going to be curious to see. I'm going to be curious to see how it looks, and yeah. Other than that, though, there was one trade in the NBA that was really big. There was a bunch of moves. The Lakers made a bunch of moves in free agency, but I don't really talk about basketball too much. But hey, Jalen Smith getting traded And Giannis getting traded to Miami for a haul. Kawhi getting traded to the Raptors again. But let's start with Jalen, okay? I don't get it. Obviously, things turn sour with the Celtics. There's got to be something more. But him getting traded to the Philadelphia 76ers for Paul George, who's washed up old, doesn't really play a full season, isn't as good as he was. Only 2 first-rounders, right? Like, this is not a haul for him. He is an elite player. He was probably a top 10 player in the NBA, right? So I don't really get it. Once they lost out on Giannis, like, it was them or the Heat, and the Heat got it done somehow, right? Like, how do you not get it done with Jalen Brown? How? Like, the Celtics should be ashamed that they weren't able to get Giannis Antetokounmpo. You have to find a way to get it done. You have to, because now you're sitting back and you're like, oh crap. Okay, now I didn't get Giannis Antetokounmpo, and now I have to trade Jalen Brown for picks and Paul George. That's just not great and shouldn't be a good look. And this is a Celtics team that when healthy is, top 3, top 4 team in the NBA, and that can have a chance to win the championship, right? I'd put them in that caliber with Jalen Brown and with Jason Tatum healthy. I would have Spurs, Thunder, Knicks, Celtics. That's who I'd have, honestly. So just disappointing to see for that club, and we'll really see how it looks. Other than that, Kawhi Leonard getting traded back to the Raptors, really surprised about it, to be honest. I don't really think that Kawhi is, he's definitely aging. He's 35, and he's not the same Kawhi that we had when they won the championship. But they gave up BI, who's been solid for the team. He's been pretty average, though. Grady Dick, who's not really worked out for this team at all. Moving on to the Clippers, and a bunch of picks. Like, they traded a bunch of picks, and I just thought it was a bit much, in my opinion. This is a Raptors team that isn't gonna win. They're not gonna win. They're not gonna win. Like, you can come back to this all you want. They're not winning the chip. They're just not. They're not gonna be able to win the NBA Finals, and I'm assuming it's Kawhi just wanting to retire as a Raptor. That's the one thing, and still be elite. And he had his time with the Raptors and won this team a championship. So, a lot of Raptors fans are probably happy to see that, but hey, he's back. Other than that, Giannis getting traded to Miami. We knew this has been coming for a while. He's been very unhappy with the Bucks situation, but that'll pretty much do it today. The Thursday report was fun. A lot of fun. It was good to have Reed on. We should be back on Tuesday, hopefully, with a new co-host that we're going to have for the most upcoming future. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Elks are playing. The World Cup's on right now. Probably have to get into some World Cup next week on the Thursday report. But Tuesday we'll be back around with some NFL stuff and some more games to play. So stick around. I hope you really enjoyed this one. Make sure you follow us on all social platforms as well. Follow me on all social platforms. It was good to have Reed on, and it was fun. It was a big week for the Edmonton Oilers and Edmonton sports in general. So hopefully the Elks can come up with the win and against BC tomorrow at 5. And go Elks go Oilers go, and have a great day, folks.